Okay, and I think we actually have this piece here quite a bit too far back. We want to move that forward a bit. Let's go into the left view here. I'm just going to look at the reference picture. And yeah, you can see that's out quite a bit farther. It's not actually out as far as it looks here. Again, that's just because of the lens of the camera. And I took these pictures just with my iPhone. So we do have some major lens distortion on there. But let's go back into max here. And we'll just pull this forward a bit. I think we want it more like that maybe. Okay, and again, we can always tweak this stuff later on once we get the drink holder there as well as the back part in. We might need to adjust it again. I'm just wondering if we should lengthen this back door a little bit more. I'm just looking at the actual machine here on my desk, and we look like we have it pretty close to the length that we want, but I'm just going to move this back maybe just a little bit more. Okay, so let's drop back down to the vertex here underneath our turbo smooth for that piece. Grab all the back verts, and we'll just slide that back a little bit more. Doesn't need to go that much. Okay, we'll try something like that. Okay, I think that's more of what we're looking for. Okay, and again, we can always pull this stuff around later on. Alright, so let's get on to doing maybe the corners here on the front. We need to roll these over. And as you can see, they're quite rounded over. Alright, so the best way for us to just do this is just to chamfer these edges as I mentioned before. So let's just go to edge. And let's just select these front edges here. Okay, so those two on that side as well as the two over on the left side. Okay, and make sure you have no other ones selected on the model. Okay, you can always see how many you have selected over here on the modify panel. Okay, so just those four. Back into the left view, zoom in a bit, toggle our transparency, and we'll just chamfer this over. Okay, and let's take it up a little bit more. You can see already that we're going to have some twisted edges here along that front, but we can fix that later on. So let's do maybe 5 segments. See what that looks like. Let's tone that down just a bit. I don't think we need to roll it over that much. Let's bring that back a bit. Let's do around 105 or something. Just gonna look at it from the front view. Okay, let me turn that realistic shading off. Okay, I don't think I'm going to go back quite as far as I had it on the original. Maybe something like that. Okay, and we'll see how that looks here. Alright, I think that's about the right amount of curve. Okay, and we do have these twisted edges here. As you can see, these ones are kind of angled up on each side, so we're going to fix that quick. I'm just going to go to the front view again, zoom in on the right side there. Let's turn our edges on with F4. Go into vertex, and let's also turn our edge constraint here so we don't accidentally move these out of position. We want them to stick to these edges. We just want to move them down. Okay, so I'm just going to do one vert at a time here. And I'm not going to use make planar on these edges just because I simply want to keep them even and in the right location. I don't want to make it planar, so it's faster to just pull this down one at a time and just manually straighten these out. Alright, it doesn't have to be spot on perfect, but try to get them fairly straight. Okay, we'll come over to the left side and just quickly tweak these ones out as well. Move that one down a little bit. Okay, something like that should be good, just so everything's nice and even. Okay, and now we'll maybe go around the back and just work on where this tank's cut out. Okay, I think we'll have enough room, to fit these in. We just want to round over these corners a bit this way. Okay, so again, we're going to chamfer this loop, and later on the tank is actually going to be built out of these bottom polygons here probably, so let's just see if we need to do anything down below. Might just quickly straighten out some of these edges here. Again, you know, the bottom's not really a big deal. Just gonna pull this back, you know, and space these out a little bit more just in case. Okay, so now let's go in and we'll loop these edges. So back over the edge here, let's grab this top one and this top one and do a loop. Okay, and that should only go down to the bottom there, which is what we want. If you have any continuing, you know, around any of the sides or underneath, just deselect those. Okay, so let's get rid of the selection brackets again, and we're just gonna chamfer this down. So let's hit a chamfer on that. We'll tighten this up a bit. Let's do maybe 4 segments. And we'll just slide this a little bit more tight. We don't need it to be that rounded over. Let's do maybe something close to that. Let's maybe try it with 3. Okay, let's do 4 just to be safe. We want a nice round curve there. That's going to be later on what we actually build the side of the tank out of. So I want to make sure this is, you know, is correct, the correct curve that we want. It's going to take it up a little bit more, maybe around 30 or so with 4 segments. Okay, and let's check out this side here. All right, that's looking okay. All right, so now we got to clean up this top again, and we'll just do that, you know, pretty quickly here. And you can, you know, actually select the edges and remove them if you want to, but target weld is just as quick probably, so we'll just do it the same way as we did before. Just start collapsing these together. And we'll do this one to this one, and this one over here to this one. And I'm just trying to think which edge do we want this to attach to. Now let's bring this guy here down to this edge here. Alright, so let's attach this one to this one, and down to this one. And we'll just bring this one over to maybe this guy. Okay, and don't worry again about that being overlapping there, we'll fix that in a minute. Okay, and over on the other side here, I just want to make sure that we do it evenly, so I'm going to do this from the top view maybe. Okay, so we'll attach this one to this one, and just keep collapsing this up as we go. Okay, and I think we attached that one to this vert here, so let's do that. This guy to this guy, and this one to this one. Okay, I think we should have the same edge flow there, and we do, which is good. Now this edge here, you can see that's right next to this other one. That's really not doing us any good, so let's take that one out. Just gonna grab that, and on this side, we don't have the same edge flow over here because we don't have that edge coming down as tight as we do over on this one. So let's maybe loop this one here and remove it with Control Backspace. Okay, and we'll just maybe quad this up really quickly here. Okay, let's maybe cut another edge over the side here, and again we're going to need to round these over on the back, so let's maybe do that first just so we can you know, see how much room we're going to have to, you know, connect up some edges here. I'm going to grab this edge on the top corner and the one on this side. We'll go back into our left view here, toggle our transparency, zoom in, and we'll just do this the same way as we did the front. Okay, and this one's going to need to be, you know, a little bit more tight. One a little bit more sharp. We could probably get away with maybe 3 segments on this one. Let's do 4 just so we have a nice curve there. And we just want to make sure that we're not running into other edges. We're pretty close there, but that's okay. Just going to back that off just a little bit. And I think we look pretty close. Let's do about 25 on this, maybe 26 with 4 segments. Okay, so that'll take care of those 2 curves both ways. Now we need to clean up the mesh a little bit. And for this one here, let's maybe just connect this guy over to this guy I'm just going to loop this edge. I'm going to put my edge constraint on, which it already is, and we'll just kind of slide this a little bit forward here so we can line it up with that one there. Alright, just a little bit like that. Okay, and we'll just weld these two verts here together. So grab those and weld. Just crank that up a bit until you see them snap. And now we'll continue that loop over the side. And over on this side we'll do the same thing. We'll loop this edge. And we'll just slide that back a bit on the Y. And just weld those pairs, or that pair of verts. Okay. Okay, and over here we'll probably quad this up properly later on, but right now I'm just going to get rid of this polygon that's overlapping. We'll delete that out and we'll just cap it again. Okay. And the next thing we're going to do is start breaking down this into kind of pieces. Eventually it's going to be separated out pretty much, in a number of different pieces. The sides will be separate, the front, back, top, bottom, tank, all those things will be separate objects out of this main body. So right now we need to add a seam into the front so that we can separate out these side panels on it. So again, if we go back to our reference here, you can see this is separated off here. Okay, so we're going to have to add an edge in here so we can break this apart on each side. And then, we also have edges here that separate the top and the bottom here, as well as at the very bottom here, the underneath piece is also a separate part. And even in the inside here, this is actually a separate, we have a seam actually going down right on the inside of each side here that we can't really see in the pictures, but it's on there. Okay, so let's add some edge loops in, kind of to cut this piece off the side. And that should be pretty quick for us to do here. Let's go into our front view. And let's ring this right edge here, one of the front ones. Okay, we'll just make sure that goes all the way around. Okay, and right now it's not going to, and that's because we don't have quads here. This is an end gone right here. Alright, so we're just going to control click this edge, and then ring again. And we'll just make sure that goes all the way around. Okay, and we actually forgot to clean up the bottom here. Let's just do that quick so it doesn't give us any problems. Alright, we can do this by going into the top view and switching into the bottom view. And just welding these up quickly. Okay, we'll do it in the same way. Alright, we're just going to start welding these points over. Same as before. And we'll do this one over to here, this one over to here. Same thing over on this side. And again, don't worry about the overlapping polygon right now. We'll fix that in a minute. Okay, just like that. And then we'll grab this polygon and delete it. And temporarily cap this hole until we can clean it up later on. Okay, now we'll go back to edge and re-ring these edges here. Okay, so just make sure those go all the way around. Get this one as well. And you can also do this with the slice modifier or quick slice, but we'll just do it with the connect. So once those edges are selected, let's zoom in a bit, toggle our transparency, and we're just going to connect this up with one segment. Okay, so no pinch, no slide. Okay, and actually let's actually slide it over. You can see we're not very even here, and we actually want to push that over. We're going to have to adjust a little bit because of the width variation, but let's undo that, connect it up, and we'll just slide it over a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to kind of line up the top there rather than the middle. Okay, so we'll just zoom in a bit here. Just going to line up around that edge there. Alright, we'll just check this out in the perspective view. Okay, so we're only worrying about the top here. We want to get this the right thickness, and that looks pretty good right here. Okay, so we'll hit OK to that, and then we'll pull these over manually. Okay, so we're just going to kind of even this out all the way down. So again, let's have our edge constraint on there, and we'll just start selecting some verts here and moving them over. Okay, so I'm going to start down here, grab these guys, and let's actually select right through so we can get those back ones as well. Alright, so just hold down Control and grab these. all the way down this loop. Okay, and we'll just start pulling this over and kind of even it out. Okay, so we'll move it over a little bit on the X, like that. Deselect this one, a little bit more. Okay, if you have any that are just, you know, a little off like this one, just move more. We want to have a nice edge flow coming down here. And we'll smooth these ones back. Okay, we'll check this out. Okay, so just make sure that you have that, you know, as even as you can get it on the front and the back. Okay, I think we're pretty good there. We might have it a little bit wider in the middle, but let's just pull these over slightly again. Just slightly. Okay, so same thing over on the left side. I know this is a little bit finicky and probably frustrating to watch, but we're almost there. So we'll just do the same ring on the other edges. Make sure we get that bottom one as well. Go back to the front view, and we'll do connect. And that should, you know, be roughly around the same location at the top here. If not, just adjust it a bit. Looks pretty good. So we'll just repeat the same process here. And if I'd been thinking ahead, I would have actually done, you know, this before we did this curve, so we wouldn't have so many edges to adjust. And let's make sure we get those back ones. Okay, so let's just move these over a little bit at a time until we get this where we want it. Okay, so I'm just going to deselect that top one there. And we'll just work our way down. Okay, it's, you know, it's on something like this, it's good to take the time to, you know, carefully do it. You don't want to just, you know, throw them all over the place. If you get this off, it's not going to look right later on, so it's worth taking a couple minutes to just, you know, carefully tweaking out your edges. There's no real point of rushing through it if you're just going to end up having it look like shit, you know, at the end. So it's always good to just tweak it out, even if it does take, you know, 10 minutes to do. Okay, so let's check this around the back now. And just make sure that edge is continuous and even around the entire side. Okay, we look pretty good there. Alright, so that'll give us the edge flow that we need to break off the side panels. Okay, so before we bust off these side pieces, let's actually chamfer down the underneath edges here the same way. And the reason why I want to do that now is because when these are two separate pieces later on, it's going to be, you know, harder for us to match a consistent curve between these two separate objects. So let's do it first. Grab this edge and we'll loop it. And we'll grab this one over here and loop that one as well. Okay, so we just have these edges on each corner selected again. Okay, and we'll go back into our left view. Or our right view, sorry, and toggle our transparency, and then we'll just roll these over in the exact same way. Okay, so we're going to take this one up a little bit more. I don't want to do it too much. Let's do about 50, and let's go with, yeah, we'll go with maybe 4 seconds on this one as well. Okay, I just want to check to make sure that we're not doing that too much. Just looking at my actual machine again. Alright, it's actually pretty sharp on the bottom. I think I might have done it a little too rounded over the first time on my original model, so I'm going to back that off a bit. Let's check it out here in the front, just see where the edges are. Okay, we also need an edge for separation there, so let's take it up just a little bit. Okay, that looks, pretty close, so let's do about 40 just to round it off with 4 segments. Okay, and the exact same thing around the back at the bottom here. This is the tightest of all of them, so grab those 2 edges and these 2 edges. And back to the side view. We'll just round these over, and you can see that's quite a bit sharper there. Alright, so chamfer. We'll get rid of a couple of these segments. Let's do maybe 3, and we'll just tone that back down until it's, roughly pretty sharp. Okay, something like that, around 10 or 11, something like that with 3 segments should be good. Hit OK to that. And now that we have those rounded over, we can actually detach these side pieces now. Alright, so let's go over to Polygon, and make sure you're saving regularly when you're modeling. I haven't mentioned that yet, but I'm saving all the time. And I think when I originally modeled this, I think I had maybe 350 separate files for it. Okay, it's always good to save a new file. Don't save over your current file. If something goes wrong, you can't go back, so always make sure you have plenty of copies of it. Okay, so over in Polygon, let's go to maybe by angle. We'll check that off, and it's set to 45 degrees, so that should allow us to select this side with 1 click. Okay, and just make sure it didn't select anything else. And we want to also include, obviously, this ring here, so let's grow it once right up to the edge that we put in there. Okay, and that looks pretty good. We're just going to hit F3 to make sure nothing else is selected. Okay, and we'll detach this off now by hitting detach. And we want to do it as a separate object, so uncheck both boxes again. We'll call this body side. Whoops. Okay, we actually do maybe left side on that. Okay, so I'll break that off, and I'm just going to get another material in here so we can see some separation between these objects. I'm just going to apply another shader to these 2 pieces, and we'll just make that a different color. Okay, just so it's a little easier to see. And we'll go over on the other side here and do the exact same thing with this. Okay, so again, by angle, select that, grow it once. Make sure you have nothing else selected, and detach this off. Okay, so for this one, exact same name, body dash right side as a separate object. Okay, we'll just drag and drop our shader on that side. Okay, now we can actually start refining this a bit more and smoothing it. Okay, and obviously these corners are major n-gons here, and that's really not going to be a problem for us. We're not going to quad it up. We could easily do that by just continuing these loops down to the matching ones at the bottom and across this way, but it's going to give us a better smoothing result if we actually just inset the sides. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do here. Just go back to Polygon, and we'll just select the side here first, go back to Polygon, and that should still be selected, so we'll just shrink it once if we can, and we can't, so let's just manually select the side. Okay, so just the side polygons here, none of that ring around there. Right? And we want this to be fairly sharp, but we do want to have a little bit of a nice kind of edge on it, so let's do an inset here. Just going to take this up, and we're going to bring that in, and that's going to give us a supporting edge around these faces. Okay, so we'll bring that in a bit, maybe, I don't know, about 4 or 5, and okay. And then we'll just add a loop around this way as well. Okay, so loop those edges there, and we'll slide that in kind of, the same distance as we have on the side there. Okay, and that's really all we need to do to smooth this out. So now we can just actually put a turtle smooth on that side, 2 iterations, nice line. And we should have a fairly smooth result here. Okay, and it's a good idea, just check it out and make sure you don't have any artifacts on it. And we don't, so that's good. Later on, we're probably going to need to add some thickness to this, like we did for the top part, just so we can have some separation between these plates. We definitely don't want to have it just, a plain thickness here, else you're going to see through the crack probably later on. But we'll fix that later. Okay, so let's go over and just select this side. We'll do exactly the same thing here. Grab those, inset it, and I think we did roughly 5 or so. Okay, and then 1 ring around the outside, and just slide that over. Alright, so another connect, push that over a bit, about 50 or so, and okay. And then we'll smooth this one out with 2 iterations and ice-line display. Okay, so we pretty much have the sides finished. They don't really have any other detail on them. Obviously we still need to do a bunch of work on the front and the back, but we're getting there. And we'll have to figure out what to do with that bottom piece later on. Okay, so far so good. So I think we're at probably around 1 hour and 45 here on the first part, and this is probably a good place to stop. In the second part of the tutorial, we'll start working on probably the front part here, the cup stand, as well as maybe the surrounding back part, which we're pretty much going to extract from the base here. And we'll also probably start cracking on the base of this tank, which is one of the more complex parts. Okay, so that'll be what we'll do probably in part 2, and I hope you come back and check it out. Thanks for watching.